As you know, your Yudu Platen has an adhesive sheet on it. You can also buy these adhesive sheets from Yudu, but let's show you some other options that you can use for your Platens to continue to keep them sticky for consistent registration on your t-shirt. Instead of applying adhesive directly to the Platen itself, the plastic portion, we're going to protect the Platen with a product called Platen Tape. Alright, so now let's apply the Platen Tape onto the Yudu Platen. This is 16-inch Platen Tape and actually comes in a 100-yard roll, so it goes a very, very, very long ways. You can apply this to an old Platen or a new Platen. This is a new Platen we're applying it to. It's actually really easy to apply. We just cut it with a sharp blade. And then we put it down like so, and then we actually use the roll itself to flatten the Platen out, because you want to make sure that you have a flat Platen tape with no crinkles in it. Then we're going to take the blade and just cut around the edges. As long as we're using a sharp blade, this is pretty easy to do. Now the great thing about this tape is it allows you to draw and mark up the Platen as well. So you can see exactly where you need to put your shirt placement at. So it's a great measuring tool. It's a great way to protect the Platens. Great way to give you the capability to use extra adhesives so you don't have to continue to buy the adhesive sheets. So there we have it. Now we can actually, I'm going to mark this with the center line. Just right down the center of the Platen. It's a 14-inch Platen, so right about 7-inch in the center. And that way I can see exactly where I'm putting my shirt on centered every single time. Now let's cover the different types of adhesive options you have to tack your shirt to the Platen. First you have spray adhesive. This is a spray product that comes in an aerosol can. You can simply spray your Platen like so. Now this product is very easy to use, very economical, does a good job tacking your pallet up. You can use as much or little of it as you want. Sometimes when you're using sweatshirts you need a bit more. With the standard t-shirt you don't need a lot. The only thing that is a problem with this is it does have some overspray, so you need to make sure to keep your area around your press nice and clean. The product that I like to use is our water-based screen adhesive. Platen adhesive. With this product you simply take it, it's more like an Elmer's glue consistency, and then take an ink card and spread it around the Platen like so. This is not giving you any overspray. It's an environmentally friendly product, fairly affordable as well, and it lasts a lot longer on the Platen. This is going to be a little bit more consistent to the type of adhesive you're used to using with that adhesive sheets. Now we're tacked up and ready to start printing. So once again, the advantages to using the Pallet Tape and the different types of adhesive is you don't have to replace the adhesive sheets. You're able to mark on your Platen, and the Platen cleans a lot easier. Now it's time to print. For this print we're going to be doing our private ship skull image. Now these screens snug into the Yudu unit a little tighter than your standard Yudu screens, but you can get them in fairly easily. Now let's take our Platen and apply a t-shirt to it, and then with this print we're going to actually be using our EnviroLine water-based black ink. Ryonet carries two lines of EnviroLine ink. We have our opaque series and we have our transparent or soft hand series. We're going to be using our soft hand transparent series for this print because we want to give this print a nice, real distressed look. Now the nice thing about the center part is you can actually see center lines in the t-shirt for the most part, and I'm going to line it exactly to the center part with my Yudu Platen right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure my image placement. I do that by just taking my finger underneath the shirt, bringing it down. Now I need to take the neck placement up slightly on this t-shirt. And now we're ready to print. As you can see, the shirt sticks really nicely to the water-based tack adhesive that we used. And we're in the printing position. So you can see when I do the print how much easier it is to print with a tight tension screen. We're going to be using a professional polyurethane rubber blade with a nice handle. It makes the printing process a lot easier, also much more consistent. And then we're going to be using a black EnviroLine ink. This ink stays in your screen a lot longer. It gives your shirt a nice soft hand and feel. It's available in opaque inks. We also have another video on printing a white opaque water-based ink. and it doesn't dry as your screen nearly as fast. To clean up, we have a couple different options. These are some simple cleaning wipes that I like to keep a hand around the press. They're called Crazy Wipes. Like $10 for a whole package of them, and they go for a very long ways. And then we can either use our ink card or a spatula, which I'm going to use here. These are about 10 or 12 bucks, and make dispersing ink extremely fast and easy. We don't have to use a whole lot of ink because it goes a long ways. But we do want to make sure that when we're not using the screen, we're keeping it flooded, and we'll show you how to do that. That way the ink doesn't dry out. Now this is a water-based ink. We'll show you with Plastisol ink that you don't have to do that because Plastisol ink won't dry until it's actually cured. So I'm going to flood the screen up like that. That loads my image area. And then I'm going to do 2 prints. I'll flood the screen back, keeping the print down. And now, between my prints, I'm going to leave the screen flooded. So if you see, I don't have a lot of ink on here. I actually probably should have put a little bit more ink on here, but I leave the screen flooded, and that allows me to have the ink not dry in the shirt. Before we actually take the shirt off the Platen, we're going to quickly dry it with a heat gun. I like using a heat gun. They're pretty affordable and inexpensive to use, also available on the website. That way this ink is set up before I do my final cure off the Platen, so I don't have to worry about smudging it. The water-based and Enviroline ink dries about the same amount of time as your standard Yudu ink. With this heat gun, it will probably take about 45 seconds to a minute to cure this entire design. The heat gun is great for curing water-based ink because it blows hot, forced air, which just evaporates out that water-based ink quickly and effectively. Now we can take our shirt off without having to worry about smudging it. And there we have our first print. Now to set this ink and ensure it's cured, you might want to heat it up for a little bit longer with a heat gun, or you can still use the iron like Yudu teaches you. Also, you can put this in a hot clothes dryer. As long as the ink's dry to the touch, that will help set the ink in. This is a very thin ink. Curing opaque water-based inks or Plastisol inks is going to be different, which we'll show later. Now we're going to show you how to do some kind of crazy placements with your Yudu machine. So we're going to take the shirt and load it on the side like this. And then we're going to take the screen and put it upside down, which will turn the screen around. And then print our design on the side of the t-shirt. Take the screen out, turn it around like so. Make sure that we're set up correctly. And then by now we can probably just do one good print, and because we have such a tight tension mesh screen, the print process is actually pretty easy to do. And then we flood back to make sure the screen's good to use. We have our print. Here we have the same soft hand print on the side of a shirt. Now that we're done printing, we're going to quickly clean the screen. See how easily the screen cleans? We can put our Enviroline ink back into the ink container. We're using our ink cleanup cards. Very affordable, easy way to clean screens up. Cleans right off the aluminum frame too, very nice and easily. We'll also clean our squeegee. If this ink's left to dry on the screen, it will dry out. So you want to make sure to get all the ink back into the container as soon as possible. If it's too dry, you probably don't want to put it back into the container. Now once we've gotten as much ink off the screen as possible, we're going to be using 2 products to clean the screen and the squeegee. This product is our water-based screen opener, which is great for cleanup. Foams up the screen real nicely. And we're going to take our Ryo wipes and just get them a little bit wet with water. These are affordable, very saturated, or can hold a lot of saturation, I should say, cleanup wipes. So instead of using rolls and rolls of paper towels or, garments, this is a great way to clean up your screens. And then you can see how easily the screen cleans up. Ink comes right off of it, cleans the mesh up, cleans the frame up. Take one more dry rag and just clean up the residue. Now the screen's cleaned, ready for future use or reclaiming. Now it's time to print our RIP image. We already have the shirt loaded on. As you see, this Platen still has plenty of adhesive on it. And then we have our screen loaded in. This is using a halftone image to create that gradient effect. First of all, we flood our screen a couple times, and we're just going to do 2 prints to open up the screen mesh. This is a 305 mesh screen, so it holds a lot of detail, but also lets less ink through. Flood the screen back. You can see I leave plenty of ink in the image area. Set my squeegee aside. And check out that. Nice gradient effect using our Yudu unit. We're also going to print this print on paper. So we'll set our paper directly with the nice center line we have in our Yudu unit. Because we're using the EnviroLine ink, it allows us to easily use and print on paper. So this is a great way to create small posters, greeting cards, all sorts of different kinds of things. Prints on paper very nicely. 1 pass, and then flood back. You can see the detail and the quality of this print much better on a paper than you can on a shirt because the paper doesn't recept any of the ink. With paper, you do have a couple different curing options. It will air dry. You can also use your heat gun to kind of speed up the drying process. But even with the air, it will probably dry in about 15 to 30 minutes.